Hi, it's Michael and David here, presenting Small Business Banter. A healthy micro and small business sector means a successful economy and a more vibrant society. Small Business Banter is about helping regional business owners better prepare for the current challenges and also for the next stage of business success. I'm Michael Kerr, founder of Kerr Capital, advisors to business owners. Each week with David Gregory, CEO of the Small Business Mentoring Service, we'll interview a different small business expert or a fellow business owner and operator. And they're going to share their best tips and insights for you, the listener. Small Business Banter is brought to you from the studios of 104.7 Gippsland FM and heard across Australia on the Community Radio Network. Thanks also to our supporters, Kerr Capital and the Small Business Mentoring Service. Every small business needs a good relationship with their business bank. Even if they're not borrowing, they're going to rely on them for facilities and accounts. So in today's episode, we're going to try and help owners understand the best way to deal with banks. In for discussion is Joe Formichella, who's the head of small business banking at Bendigo and Adelaide Bank. Joe's a very experienced banker, and he's going to share a little bit about what's happening in small business lending across Australia at the moment, but also the best ways to deal with a bank and the best way for owners to get ready to deal with a bank. So we look forward to our chat with Joe. Well, welcome in Joe Formichella. He's the head of small business banking at Bendigo and Adelaide Bank. Welcome in, Joe. Can you give the listeners just a little bit of personal background on the division you run within the bank now?
Yeah, sure. And thank you, Michael and David, for having me. So I head up our small business team, and that's a national team. So we've got representatives of small business managers across every single state, and they're pretty well represented in the majority of our rural and regional areas as well. We do work very closely with our retail branch network. And just for your sake and your listeners' sake as well, a little unknown or little known fact around Bendigo Bank: we are the fifth largest retail bank in Australia. And we are that full services financial provider as well. So we do cater for all banking needs of both individuals and companies, small from small to large to corporate. So. We do have that representation across all of Australia, 500 or so branches. So there is a branch, and I know this audio is going out to a lot of the rural and regional areas. So that's where we're predominantly located, is in those areas. So I'm sure your listeners have come across a Bendigo Bank branch. But from a small business point of view, we do work very closely with those branches. So if you need some small business support, certainly jump into one of those branches and they'll connect you with one of my team.
Yeah, that's what I've always loved about the Bendigo Bank, is that community aspect. It is a part of the community rather than just an adjunct to it. I work with many thousands of small businesses, and one of the big things that they ask when they're dealing with banks is, what do the bank need from the small businesses in order to help facilitate loans or to give you what you need in order to make things possible?
Yeah, it's so for us, the small businesses, or really any business, really needs to have a pretty solid business plan when they come and see a bank for some funding. So what's the purpose of the loan or financial support they're looking for? So that purpose needs to be quite robust and relevant for their business. Generally, we look to have some historical financial information there as well. So the last 2 or 3 years of financials, so your balance sheet, profit and loss, and cash flow statement. So it gives us a bit of bit of an understanding of the historical performance and the trends within that business. So that gives us a bit of a test of can that business support any loan that they're applying for. So there's that historical performance to support the loan, but also look to have what that current performance looks like, but also what the future state looks like as well. So we try and build that broader picture of the business itself, and that certainly helps us assess that ability to service the loan itself, which is obviously the key outcome that customers are looking for.
Yeah, but I guess it's always loans are not also every business doesn't have a loan necessarily, so there are also a range of other ways you might help a business. Do you want to give us, I mean, and obviously when applying for lending, to be on top of what your business is about and what the numbers are telling you is critically important from what you're saying. But just broadly, how generally are you helping small businesses, and what kinds of small businesses are you dealing with across regional Australia?
Yeah, so it's there's no specific industry, because we try and bank and look after every small business that comes to us. And especially where our branches are located, and said 500 locations across Australia, we try and look to support a lot of those branches that live and work in and around our branch network. So it really is, and our small business model is very much based around a true relationship model. So every single one of our small business customers has a dedicated small business manager that looks after them and their business. So we do take the time to get out, visit the customer, try and understand their business, because every business is quite unique around their business model and their requirements to manage and run that business and manage their cash flow. So we do work very closely with the business owners themselves to deliver a bit more of a tailored, unique solution for their needs. So whether that be a lending piece or manage their cash flows through some transactional support as well.
Yeah, so there's a clear focus here on conversation with your customers and indeed for owners to talk to you about your their business and how you can help. So obviously the recent months have been challenging. We do want to talk about some of the ways you're working with businesses to help grow them, but in terms of right now and some of the more challenged businesses, what's just briefly some of the things you're doing to assist those kinds of businesses through a tough time?
Yeah, so there's been a number of initiatives that we have run. So there's we took a pretty proactive approach, say 3-4 months ago. So if you cast your mind to all the way back to 3-4 months ago, it seems such a long time ago now, but it was quite a stressful time for a lot of small business, so a lot of uncertainty at that time. So the government effectively just closed the economy, closed borders, business was closed down, people were told to isolate indoors. You had horror stories coming out of Europe, share market crashing and so forth. So,
a lot to take in.
Yeah, there was, without understanding what the future state looked like as well. So a lot of uncertainty. So what we did very early on, very early March, we made sure we connected and called every single one of our customers just to check in with them, to gauge and see what the impact was to their business, what support they needed from us at that point in time, but also make them aware of all the different packages and assistance programs that are available in the market as well. So we gave them a bit of an awareness around what was available from the federal government, state government, local government, but also provided that relief around deferring loan repayments. So I gave them that option. Around 30% of our customers jumped on that option to defer payments for a 6-month period. Look, we waived fees. Their merchant fees were waived, given that they probably wouldn't have too many customers coming into their place of business. So it was a range of of options we provide our customers, and that did give them a bit of a breathing space to, take stock of exactly what was happening around them, have a bit of thinking time, or what do I need to do now? How do I massage or change my business model to make sure, I can, try and get a little bit of growth, a little bit of cash flow coming in, and if not, what can the bank do to support them over this next 3 to 6 months? So
yeah, that's great, Joe. I look at the current COVID challenges, and they are certainly there, but on a different tack, I also remember, I'm sadly old enough too, that when interest rates for small business were 18%, 19%, those sort of things. At the moment, interest rates are at an all-time low. So, in some respects, there are great opportunities for businesses as a result of those low interest rates.
Yeah, absolutely, and that certainly has cushioned the impact to a lot of customers as well. So, having a low rate environment means that that interest bill isn't as high as back in your day, the 18% or so. But it's still, you still need cash flow to even pay that 3% interest rate. You still have to generate sufficient cash flow to meet those repayments. So again, deferring those loan repayments and so forth did provide that bit of comfort for our customers. So the feedback was was quite positive from a lot of our customers, and I'm reminded we had this. An external survey that went out to all banking customers around Australia, and 65% of our customers were surveys that they felt supported by their bank, compared to 35% from all the other banks. So I think that early engagement with all our customers certainly helped allay some fears and provide some comfort for them during that period.
Yeah, it was nice to hear the bank getting on the front foot. And we are talking to Joe Formichella, who's head of small business banking at Bendigo in Adelaide. Joe, you run the small business banking area of the bank. When you sit down and you start to think as a team about where to for Australian small business, what are some of the things, opportunities and challenges that you as a bank are seeing ahead? Are you okay in sort of taking having a discussion around where you see the next little while going, as hard as it may be to predict?
Yeah.
And if it's easier, just to talk about some of the things that you think business owners should be factoring in just to ensure they keep surviving, if not thriving.
Yeah. So this is where I take the crystal ball out. Is it, Michael?
Yeah.
So I think for us, how we're assessing business at the moment, we can't. I mentioned before when you asked, what businesses need to provide when they come to see their bank. It has been traditionally around the financials. Look, financials are still very, very important at the moment, but what we look at the moment is even the a big focus on business owner themselves. So,
is that from a sort of a deeper understanding of what's going on with the business owner personally? Because in this series of small business banter, we've interviewed a number of other guests around issues like mental health, and taking time out, encouraging them to get mentors and use. Is that the sort of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's what's the business owner done to help themselves over the last 3-4 months? So have they proactively looked at changing their business model? What support have they gone out and sought? Have they connected with their customers around how they want to be serviced? So there's a lot of changes that can be made by the manager or the business owner themselves. So again, I mentioned the business model, and good examples there are restaurants. So they couldn't have people coming into a restaurant anymore. So a lot of restaurants changed their business model to go to takeaway, online sales, home deliveries, and so forth.
So is Yeah, is that a case of as you said, challenging times? So you're wanting to see that owners are taking the initiative to do things within their business,
yeah.
use the time well to pivot, as they say, or to just to adapt and survive.
Correct, yeah, because that's how we gauge. If the managers, if the business owners understand their business, taking some corrective action, reduce their expenses, it shows that as they come out of this period, that they can continue to proactively manage their business or potentially change their business model to take advantage of the new conditions and new environment they're going to be working in going forward. So, as I said, the numbers are not going to make as much sense, or be, they're still going to be critical, but they're not going to be as relevant as they have been historically, because these business owners haven't been able to have that much control over the finance side, but they have had opportunity to control what their business looks like coming out of this period.
Yeah, it must be inspirational when you deal with so many small businesses. Small businesses by default are entrepreneurial. They wouldn't have gone into it unless they had that entrepreneurial bent. And you see the number of those businesses that have evolved to the new road, and they've explored opportunities that they never would have considered pre-COVID, that they've explored and found perhaps new markets, new opportunities, new streams of income. So that would all enhance their potential to get a loan, and also show to you that they're the sorts of businesses that are worthy and capable of coming out.
Oh, absolutely. And, my first role in business banking or first management role was as a small business manager. And, the most, probably the best role I've had, and that was going back almost 27, 28 years ago, but thoroughly enjoyed just getting out, meeting those small business customers, hearing their story. They all had, all have done it pretty tough. So they've had to start the business off themselves, put in a lot of hard work. There's a lot of passion and pride in that business. So, but they've had to innovate all the way through to continue to improve their business. And I think that's what's kept a lot of these small businesses and small business owners, the fact that they're involved 24/7 in their business, just that pride, that passion, that innovation has meant that they've been pretty resilient over the last 3-4 months, and I'm reasonably confident that they'll majority of them will be able to survive through this period.
Yeah, Joe, that's what we're about here at Small Business Banter. Is just encouraging owners to do what they can, and clearly talking to bankers and suppliers and customers and all that people important in your business and other businesses important to your business. It's never been a better time to reach out. We're coming up, sadly, to sort of the close, but we wanted to just get you to give us a sense of some of the resources that customers of your bank or others might be able to access via Bendigo and Adelaide. We know that you sound very proactive with your customers. What are some of the things you'd like to point towards for people to go and look at? Is it websites? Is it tools and calculators? What is it that's going to help them through?
Yeah, look, I would certainly, given our fairly large retail footprint, I would encourage anyone to go into one of our branches. We got some, our people are our strength, and there's no more passionate people than Bendigo Bank people at the moment. So
how many branches around the country, Joe?
So there's 500 branches, Michael. So as I said, we're pretty well represented all throughout Australia. And as David mentioned, we've got the community bank model in there as well. So there's about 320, I think, or thereabouts of community bank branches of that 500 as well. And you won't find more passionate people than our community bank partners in supporting and investing in their local communities to ensure that they thrive and prosper. So I will certainly connect with them. There's probably another radio interview to do. I would certainly encourage you to connect with one of our community bank directors and get them on board as well to hear their story. But certainly going to the branch.
Yeah, we will do that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's also the case that within the community areas, you can't go to a local basketball court or football space where you don't see a Bendigo Bank sign on the perimeter or up on the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. It's they love their community, and as I said, they certainly invest heavily into that community. I think that's how the mantra of the Bendigo Bank lives by, is that our people, partners, communities, we feed into their prosperity rather than feeding off it. So that's what we live by, and we certainly live that day by day. But to your point, certainly go to our the Bendigo Bank website. So that's got links into all our small business managers, so by state and location. So if you want to know who your local small business manager or business banking manager is, just go into our link there, find that person, and you can give them either send them an email or call them directly. So either online or certainly encourage you to go into our
What's
branches.
the main website to go to? I know there's is it bendigoandadelaide.com.au? Or Bendigo Bank. Anyway, search up Bendigo Bank and
bendigobank.com.au. And just follow the links there, and you'll find your way. It's pretty easy to follow.
And some phone numbers to ring. It really does sound like that. Ringing and talking is a key part of the message, and also that you're going to get some receptive ears, because the people you're talking to are embedded in their communities and they can see what's going on around them. So, Joe, look, really appreciate your time today. Keep up the good work. We'll post a couple of resources that you've talked about on our smallbusinessbanter.com link, and we will follow up if you can help us if we need to get into community banking people to have them on a future conversation. Yep. Keep up the great work, and we'll look forward to chatting to you offline, and take care until then. Cheers, Joe.
All right. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, David.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, Dave, that was a really great chat with Joe from Bendigo and Adelaide Bank. What do you reckon were the key takeaways from your perspective for the banking customers and others listening in?
For me, one of the most important components and that Joe was highlighting is that the bank is open for communication, and that often small businesses stick their head in the sand a little bit. The opportunity is to talk to the bank early. The earlier the better, if during times of challenge, to say, listen, this is what sort of problems we're facing, this is what we're doing, and the bank is very, very receptive to hearing that you have a plan. So I think that's probably the most critical thing.
Yeah, and I think that goes across all banks. I mean, they're a foundation stone of the SME economy, and so certainly reach out, and you're going to be talking to someone in the local community more than likely through the bank, and they'll refer you on. But what I particularly like was there was an acknowledgement that financially things are tough for a lot of businesses, and what they were, in their case, looking for was to see that owners are taking the initiative to use the time to change things in their business. And so finances are critical, but I think there's an acknowledgement there's not an awful lot that many business owners can do about that, but they can be seen to be improving their business and reviewing their cost structures and doing things so that when better times return, the business is better placed. So I think that was something that shone through.
It was a really positive and somewhat surprising recognition that the banks are saying, okay, well, we understand that the numbers all matter, but equally we need to understand the people behind the numbers, and that's good. That's sort of going back to old school banking where it was about the relationship, and that's a great thing to see. Because I think one of my other key takeouts is that business is a journey. And within that journey, you have to have a number of partners along the way, and your bank should absolutely be one of them.
Yeah, look, in the many conversations we've had, in producing this show, the communication, shines through as whether it's to have a discussion with your banker or to have a discussion about your personal, emotional, mental well-being. It's a key message to everybody. Finding a mentor for in these tough times. So, yeah, look, it was a really quality conversation, and we thank Joe for making time available. And as I said, the resources and the links that we mentioned we'll put up on smallbusinessbanter.com. And I just want to add something else. Yes, you should definitely invest in getting your banker at your bank to understand beyond just the financials what your business is about and how you are adapting it to deal with current challenges. As Joe said, there seems to be a general acceptance across the banking industry that it is really difficult for owners currently to exert a lot of control over current financial performance. So there's likely to be a much greater willingness to look through past and current financial performance and then get more support by helping the bank to better understand how you're adapting to deal with the current environment and position for a new way of running the business. My tip though, your case for getting that support can only be enhanced if you demonstrate in a really credible way that you know your business numbers really well, even if they're not great at the moment, or you're basing them on projections of an uncertain future state. It still sends a really strong signal that you are on top of your business. So that's all for today's episode of Small Business Banter. David and I continue to be inspired by bringing you small business experts and hearing your stories. For any of the links, resources or information we've talked about on the show today, or to contact David or I, please head over to smallbusinessbanter.com. And David and I would love you to tune in at the same time next week for another episode of Small Business Banter.